we originally we decided to build Locofy for a very technical crowd, for engineers. And the idea over there was very simple that, having built some of the, some engineering and product teams in Asia in 3 startups, we knew, and, as builders ourselves, we knew that for good engineers and designers, they don't necessarily jump from one tool to the other easily. Ask a designer who loves Figma to move to Sketch, and they will threaten you to quit. Same for engineers, right? Like if it's a React enthusiast and you ask them to build on Polymer, which I made the mistake of doing 5-6 years ago, that's also not ideal. Engineers and designers know exactly what they want. But between that process of, completing designs and handing over the designs to the engineers and then writing front-end code from scratch, there was already an area that we had experience in, which is basically there was a lot of back and forth between designers and engineers to get the pixels right. What the designers design versus what an engineer finally sees and builds in the product may not necessarily match. And also writing front-end code from scratch was one area that we kind of wanted to solve for. So initially, our idea was to build for engineers, and to use Locofy, you would need to obviously know designs and engineering. But instead of getting you out of your existing tools, our idea was also to adapt and fit into your existing tools. If you use Figma for designs, we would be a plugin within Figma. So think of it as an additional toolbox within Figma, which you can use after you're done designing or even during your design phase itself. And once you're done with your designs, the process that would take engineers, let's say a few weeks or even months to write the front-end code from scratch, the engineer or the designer could basically do a couple of things just through a visual interface to convert that design into code. And then our platform actually gives you the code export. So because the output is actually front-end code, the understanding was that, it would be engineers who would take that code and then build on top of that. And the process of Locofying could be done by the designer or the engineer in the team. We made it such that it's technically, of course, engineers know how to do it, but then we also wanted to make it easy enough for designers to be able to do it as well. However, once we built it, we realized that one of the use cases for this was landing pages, for example, or simple websites and products where you want to design on Figma or Adobe or one of your favorite design tools, and then there's not much backend logic itself. For those, we will allow you to straight away launch your website or app directly after Locofying your designs. So which is basically more no code, where non-coders or people who have limited, let's say, design and engineering experience can also build their products on Locofy itself. So our focus hasn't changed. We're very much focused on building for our own problems for engineers and designers, which is why our focus is on the quality of code and not just giving you a website that works, but the code that's high performance. It would be written by your own engineers, and it's scalable as well. You don't have to after 2 years write it again from scratch. The idea was that, and that's how we, the culture that we build in the company, that if the platform gives you code, make sure that it's as good as what the engineers would write from scratch or even better. However, by doing so, we're also allowing the no-coder sort of audience, right? The people who, there's a lot of growth managers and founders today who have a little bit of experience, and they're also adventurous to go and learn designs on Figma themselves, right? It's not very difficult to pick it up, especially for landing pages and stuff like that. But then they don't want to use, let's say, a tool like Webflow, where they're limited by the design, for example. So for folks who want to use Figma for design, but then they don't want to code it, and the website or app does not require that much business logic in the first place, that's where we also support the non-engineers to launch their products as well. So we're seeing a lot of students, a lot of designers, a lot of solopreneurs, founders launching their products on Locofy. And even if they require a little bit of code, they still prefer that because they can control the stack, the designs, and then rather than getting an engineer for 3 months, they just need an engineer to come in for, let's say, a couple of weeks to help them launch their product itself. So it really depends on the use case, but I would say we are 90% low code, but we're not closing the doors for no code audience.